the 1/3/2022 organizational meeting to order. We will start with a silent prayer and a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, my mic got cut off there. Okay, I'm going to call the roll. Basson,
Here.
Weigelt,
Here.
Ooms,
Here.
okay, Simmons,
Here.
Stats,
Here.
Adams,
Here.
Metler,
Here.
Collins,
Here.
Riley,
2022, we're here.
Eldridge,
Here.
Helsley,
Here.
Kirsten,
Here.
Ligonia,
Here.
Cousin,
Here.
Mia,
Happy New Year.
Chamidas,
Here.
Mussman,
Here.
Scalera,
Here.
Duzzy,
Here.
Holtling,
Here.
Morel,
Here.
Knott,
Here.
Skoda.
Present.
We have full attendance at 35:35. We have a quorum. The first order of business is the selection of a temporary chair, and I call for the nomination of the same.
I would like to nominate Supervisor Ryan Skoda.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Supervisor Skoda, you can take the place of the temporary chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you for the vote of confidence from the rest of the supervisors. The first order of business today is the election, a nomination for majority leader. Do I hear any?
Rob Lagonia.
You couldn't hear me?
No.
No.
Sorry, I I nominate Supervisor Ron Knott.
Is there a second for Supervisor Knott?
I'll second it.
Helsley, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, I will accept nominations for minority leader.
I nominate Supervisor Hoatling for Minority Leader.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, I'll entertain nominations for the chairman of the Board of Supervisors.
I'd like to make a nomination. I've had the pleasure to work with Matt Morrell for now going on 9 years. And his dedication and commitment to this board and Columbia County is outstanding. Crazy amounts of hours that were put into this just to get us through some of the issues we've had. Matt is on call 24/7. Whether it's a phone call, text, email, or meeting, he's on call. I've been with him at 10 o'clock at night where there's issues, and he jumped right on a phone call and handled it. So for Christmas, I guess, right, Matt? Your wife bought you a smartwatch, is that correct?
Yes.
That's just going to keep you a little bit more connected, that's all. So for the past 2 years, beyond his normal duties as chairman, he's worked countless hours dealing with COVID-related issues, which he continues to deal with today. Therefore, I am honored to nominate Matt Morrell as Columbia County Chairman of the Board.
I'd like to second that motion.
Everybody in favor of Matt Morrell chairing the Board of Supervisors?
Aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Congratulations, Supervisor Morrell. I relinquish command to you.
Thank you, temporary Chairman Skoda. I appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. And I'd like to thank you all for your vote of confidence, re-electing me the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I am honored to work with you and to serve the residents of Columbia County. I would first like to say farewell to supervisors Benvenuto, Leader, Sterling, and Bury, and thank you for your service to the county. I would also like to welcome Supervisors Cousins, Simmons, Booms, and Helsley to the board. COVID-19 continues to be a real challenge in regards of health and safety. The numbers of our residents infected and hospitalized due to COVID has again risen significantly. The only way to tamp the virus down is to get vaccinated, wear a mask, social distance, stay away from crowds, and wash your hands. We must remain vigilant. I want to give my sincere thanks to the employees of the Columbia County Health Department, Emergency Management Office, and many other county departments for their tireless dedication dealing with COVID. In 2020, not knowing what the financial impact of COVID would be, the Board of Supervisors implemented a plan to reduce spending. Though there was some pain felt from our tough decisions, it did help. Combined with those actions, along with healthy sales and mortgage tax numbers, put us in a much better place in 2021 and 22. The 2022 budget calls for a total tax decrease of 2% and a projected tax rate reduction of 6.2%. I would like to express particular thanks to Treasurer PJ Keeler, Controller Ron Caponera, Supervisor and Deputy Chairman Ron Knott, Supervisor, Deputy Chairman, and Finance Chairman James Guzzi, Supervisor Tistria Hoteling, Supervisor Basson, Supervisor Rick Scalera, and the County Human Services Director Michael Williams Reardon, the County Attorney Rob Fitzsimmons, and our Clerk of the Board Kelly Beccaro for their assistance on developing this budget. We must continue to monitor the budget very closely, not knowing what's around the corner. Moving into 2022, I would like to touch on a few accomplishments. We have completed the Smart Rock project that focused on the public safety building, resulting in $138,000 savings per year, and we are preparing to bid phase 2. In 2021, the county formed a Climate Smart Committee and assigned a county employee to help move the project forward. The Emergency Training Center will be completed, benefiting our volunteer firemen and our emergency service workers. We will continue to fund the cancer benefit insurance for our volunteer firefighters, and we continue our upgraded status that we receive from Moody's, which positively affects our borrowing rates. We will be completing, work will be completed on the sewer line from the Commerce Park to Greenport wastewater treatment plant. And I like to thank the town of Greenport for their cooperation and working together on this project. We will continue to seek improvements to our county transportation system by keeping up with our equipment needs and working on continuous improvement in our service delivery. The work of the Police Reform Committee has been completed and sent to New York State, meeting the April 1st deadline. Now the Implementation Committee must work to put all of the good work into action. In 2021, we were able to restore many positions that were frozen in 2020 during the pandemic. Because of COVID, we had to start negotiations in 2021 on all 4 of our union contracts. I'm happy to say that we have agreements on 2 of those 4 contracts. And in 2021, we received the first half of the county's $11.5 million in ARPA funding. So we have outlined significant investments in health and human services programs, broadband, 9/11 upgrades, restorations of funding and equipment cuts, and premium pay for our employees who continue to work throughout the pandemic. In closing, I would like to give thanks again to you and our department heads for your hard work during these very tough times. Thank you.
Chairman, you're still up.
Yep, no,
Okay.
I had to find my script. We need to, a motion to recess so certain members can take their oaths of office from our county clerk, Holly Tanner. So if we get a motion,
I'll move it. Chatham.
second,
Second. Hoatling.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Holly, you're on.
Oswaldo, just when he's ready, if he's ready first.
You ready?
Hold on. Thank you.
Okay, following my boss's instructions, the resolution committee will be myself, Ron Knott, and Tistria Hoatling. So the chairman, the majority leader, and the minority leader. Also, I want to appoint our deputy chairs to the Board of Supervisors, which should be James Guzzi and Rob Lagonia. And I also, I want to at least announce the committee chairs on the respective committees. The list for the committees will come out probably tomorrow or the day after. I'm still actually working on it, but I know who the chairs and the deputy chairs are going to be. So for Health and Human Services, the chair is Donald Collins, and the deputy chair is Kathy Eldridge. For Public Safety, the chair is Rob Lagonia, and the deputy chair is Jeannie Metler. County Government, the chair is Kippy Weigelt, and the deputy chair is Rick Scalera. Public Works, the chair is Ron Knott, and the deputy chair is Ray Stats. Economic Development, the chair is Ryan Skoda, and the deputy chair is Ron Knott. Finance, the chair is Jim Guzzi, the deputy chair is Matt Morrell. And point one, the chair is Matt Morrell, and the deputy chair is Jim Guzzi. So those are the major committees. The budget work group will basically be the same as it has been. It will be myself, Jim Guzzi, Ron Knott, Art Basson, Tistria Hoatling, and Rick Scalera, with James Brigg, PJ Keeler, and Michael Reardon serving on it. So those are the major committees. Okay, with that, I'd like to request the clerk read the resolution.
Okay, resolution 1 of 2022 to 11 of 2022 by Supervisor Scalera.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second,
Second the motion, Hoatling.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 12 of 2022 to 22 of 2022 by Supervisor Guzzi.
Mr. Chairman, I present these resolutions for adoption.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 23 of 2022 to 34 of 2022 by Supervisor Knott.
Mr. Chairman, I request a roll call vote, please, on resolution number 34.
Okay, I would move all of those resolutions and, yes, agree to, ask for a roll call vote for resolution 34.
Second the motion.
Okay, so what we're gonna vote on to resolution number 33. We'll vote on those and then we'll do the roll call vote. So I need a
Chairman,
motion.
can we hold on just a moment? I want to make sure the live feed is going. We have a message saying YouTube is not. Oswaldo? Can you check the? Okay, I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second for to resolution number 33. So all in favor on those?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And Kelly, could you do resolution number 34?
Mr. Chairman, could I request just a moment to be heard before the vote occurs?
Sure.
So thank you all so much for the roll call vote on this resolution. I just want to remind this board, as well as the new members, about some of the details on this. There is no urgency. The only difference between now and a few months from now is that Sheriff Krapp will have had a chance as the sitting sheriff to weigh in on the issues. The supervisors will have time to analyze and compare the two options, and our benefit numbers will potentially decrease. They are the highest they've ever been during the pandemic at this time. It is easier to remove it from the sheriff before Sheriff Krapp can weigh in as the sheriff. I understand that. I've heard that from a few supervisors. But if the supporters of this move are solid in the fact that it makes the most sense, why do we need to rush it through? The idea was presented to the Public Safety Committee for the first time ever in November. The supervisors had a chance to discuss it at the year-end meeting. I was notified by the public that there was not notification of that special meeting. I can't speak definitively to that. And then there's a push to vote at the organizational meeting, which typically doesn't include resolutions for regular business. It's typically your appointments and other things. So why? There's no urgency other than it's easier to do before the sheriff can weigh in as the sheriff. And I also want to remind the supervisors here and let the new supervisors coming in know that it took us months to appoint a member to a climate smart task force that is an advisory committee, because there was supervisors that had questions. There was supervisors that wanted more information. It went through county government and sat in county government for multiple months for an advisory appointment to a board. This, I think, deserves at least that much, if not more, time to make sure that it's the right move for the county. Thank you all so much for hearing me.
Thank you.
Chairman, are we going with the vote now and folks
Well,
can
can I
speak?
ask that if anybody has any statements to make, they do it when you are voting? That's normally the typical way we do it. So why don't we go through the roll, and then if you have a statement, you can make it with your vote.
Basson,
Mr. Chairman and fellow supervisors, I support this move to make the Emergency Management Office independent. But I am aware that many of our colleagues have unanswered questions and feel this is being rushed. And I agree with those who have argued that there is no real urgency in the next 30 or 60 days to make this decision, because it's highly unlikely we're going to learn anything in that period of time that will change the outcome. The votes, I believe, are already in the House to make this happen. But I would like to propose that we table this for the next 60 days and provide an opportunity for any supervisor who has questions to write them down, submit them, get answers, and we can then collectively as a group deal with this in 30 or 60 days without the uncomfortable feeling that we're making this decision without proper process and without proper observation of the respect for each other that we've developed over the years. So I would like to make a motion that we slow this thing down and would like to call for a vote on that proposal.
I'd like to second that motion.
We already have a motion and a second on the floor.
right, we're voting.
We're voting on this resolution, so,
Then I must vote no reluctantly.
okay. Thank you.
If everybody can mute their device until it's time for them, because there's a lot of interruption and we'd like to hear everybody's comments clearly. So next is Weigelt.
Mr. Chairman, I feel at this time that we should be moving this forward. We got a lot more coming up on our plate, that we don't need to sit back and discuss something that we've been planning on for almost 3 to 4 years. The way I feel it is, we're moving an entity from one office built complex to another. The sheriff will still be in touch, and anybody else who wants to be in touch with these professionals, they will be in their new offices to be in touch with. So I vote yes.
Holmes,
I'll vote yes on it.
Simmons,
I vote yes. Mr. Chairman, I being from Ghent, I was aware of this 3 or 4 years ago. I'm very comfortable with this. I was quite surprised it already didn't happen. And your fact sheets were very helpful. You know, in a time like this, we have to rely on our professionals. I trust that these people understand this move was very important, and that's what was relayed to me all the way through it. Everybody I've spoken to, major emergencies to pandemic that, is, it's been a handful for everybody. So I support this move. I know that the Columbia County directors, staff, fire coordinator, EMS coordinators, and as well as 911 all support this move. So I have no problem saying yes to this. And you're going to learn that I'm not much into kicking the can down the road on, like I said, I thought this was done, and maybe we're privileged in Ghent because the building is in Ghent, to understand more of the development of it. And I was unaware that this hadn't been done. So my answer is yes.
thank you. Stats,
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that I agree a lot with what Supervisor Basson has said. I too have supported this before, and I'm very disappointed this has turned into something as a political spectacle, something as important as our EMS department. And I have to say, this is a crucial piece of our infrastructure for the county operations and the safety of our residents. And, we've talked about this informally over the past year several times. I've been part of the discussions a few times. I know it's been discussed more than that. And, it has nothing to do with the recent election or the results of the election, as many of you seem to imply. We have a very capable head of the EMS, Dave Harrison, which has proven himself to be more than capable to run the department. and he has my vote of confidence. Has done a great job thus far. I just struggle with the timing and the fact that we can't push this off a month or two. But personally, I don't see anything in the next couple months that would change my feeling whatsoever on this. So I still am going to say, as I did before, I think this needs to be a separate department, and I support it. So I vote yes.
Thank you. Adams.
Just very quickly, I do agree with Supervisor Bassin's comments, and also to some degree to Supervisor Statz's comments. And I am one of those supervisors that has unanswered questions. And I mean that with all due respect to David Harrison, who spent a good deal of time with me on the phone answering quite a few questions, but those questions raised other questions which have gone unanswered. I do think there's another thing that we haven't discussed here, and I think that is we have built a strong collaborative working relationship. At least I feel that we've started to over the 2 years that I've been on this, a member of this body. And I think that we've generally displayed a tendency to listen to each other. And we have delayed or paused far less serious votes, including the one that Supervisor Hoatling mentioned, because we felt that it was important for all supervisors to have the information and the comfort level to make an informed decision. I wish I had the information to make an informed decision. I agree, I know a lot more now than I knew 45 days ago, but I don't think that we've answered several key questions. And given the lack of urgency associated with the decision, I find myself in the uncomfortable position of voting no, because I haven't fully formed an opinion about whether or not this is the right move or not. My tendency is it is the right move, but I don't have the information or the data to make that decision. And finally, I would just say, I think that we, at a bare minimum, we owe the sheriff-elect the time to be in his office, to survey this information, and to participate in our conversation. I think it's a significant error on our part to not allow him to participate in his official capacity. So I vote no.
Thank you. Mettler? You're muted, Jeannie.
I've served on the Board of Supervisors for the past 2 years, and in that time, when the rest of this country has been painfully polarized, this body has distinguished itself by its bipartisanship. Of course, there have been votes where there were dissents, but by and large, the leadership and the members of this board have worked to build consensus, as difficult as that sometimes has been. I'm disappointed that in the first few days of 2022, we are departing from that goal of bipartisanship, especially since, in my view, if this vote were just delayed for a few months for discussion, this vote would no doubt be either unanimous or close to unanimous. In too many places in this country, there is a debate, which I certainly don't understand, about whether we should accept election results. For me, this vote boils down to that. We need to wholeheartedly accept the results of an election and respect the person who has been elected as sheriff. Chairman Murrell, I want to thank you. As I said to you when you called me, it's a great honor to be appointed as the deputy of chair of public safety to serve along with Chair Rob Lagonia. So in the best of all worlds, I would like to be voting along with the rest of you today. But for the reasons I've given, I can't. And for the reasons I've given, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Collins?
I support the extraction of the EMO from the Sheriff's Department. I don't think my answer would change in 60 days. And I think we should start right away with that new delegation of responsibilities. So I vote yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Riley?
I've been a long proponent of the separation of this department because I believe that the county should be run with an executive and this department responding to an executive. However, in this case, my issue is not with the lack of discussion among the supervisors. My issue is that we just announced this as a resolution in December, And my problem is that we as supervisors have not had the opportunity to educate our town residents on this resolution. As Chairman Morrell well knows, I've been receiving mail constantly from my residents questioning the timing of this decision. Whereas I would support the resolution after due process, I think we need that process over the first quarter. I asked for a 2 or 3 months stay on this. I agree with Arthur that we could do it in 2 months or 1 month even, to give us a chance to educate our residents. I am nothing if not the voice of the residents of Gallatin, and the residents of Gallatin have asked for a pause on this, so I will have to reluctantly vote no.
Thank you. Supervisor Eldridge?
I'm voting no. This is ill-advised at this time. A move of this magnitude should have been made known to all supervisors, and it required a serious bipartisan consideration. The optics indeed do not look good here either. It's a total lack of transparency. And something of this importance should have been brought to all of us months ago. And I urge the chairman to reconsider and withdraw this resolution.
Thank you. Supervisor Helsley?
I vote yes. I don't feel that there's anything that's gonna come to light in the next 30, 60 days. It's gonna change my opinion or my constituents' opinions on this. I vote yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Kirsten?
Thank you. I agree with Supervisors Basson and Mettler. As I stated in my brief remarks to the board last week, I believe this vote is premature. I continue to believe this, and I continue to hope that there would be a postponement so that we may reach a bipartisan decision in this important matter. So I vote no.
Thank you. Supervisor Lagonia?
Firstly, I just want to say I respect everybody's opinions here, and I truly understand the opinions, and I truly understand what the optics look like. I have been intimately involved in this department. I respect David Harrison very much. I've met with Sheriff Kraft. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was with him for 2 or 2.5 hours, and under Sheriff Jackie Salvatore, who I asked to represent that committee so that I could work with them. I respect them both very much. We've had very good discussions, and I'm looking forward to working with Jeannie Mettler in this as well. But for me, being involved so closely and seeing where it needs to be, I'm voting yes. And again, I respect all the opinions here, and I understand the optics. But for me, it makes total sense. I don't think there'll be any changes down the road. And I think that we need to start off doing this and working with the sheriff in many other areas that he's going to have challenges with. And I want to make sure that I'm there to support that. So I vote yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Cousin?
Fundamentally, I support divesting and reallocation of power and funds when it comes to emergency services. And I think that putting those in places that best serve those directly impacted makes a lot of sense. But I have to echo what many of the supervisors before me have said. In light of transparency, it doesn't seem that there was a lot. And just swearing in today and the amount of correspondence that I've received from constituents in my ward urging me to vote no, I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Mia?
Honorable Mr. Chairman, Matt, no doubt your leadership past is excellent. No doubt that emergency management doing good job in past. But I like to say that I'm representing the vulnerable people, my constituency, and also I don't have a lot of information myself. My ward need a lot of services in the emergency. It will be look like how is we don't know anything. Mr. Chairman, you did the past, lot of good decision, lot of crisis you come over. I'm as a supervisor, I'm requested you do that 2-3 month delay and do that. We get all information. We need all educated, and we can see. Also, I like to say, elect sheriff should be included. That should be, Mr. Chairman. We are not an expert. We are public servant. We are work for the public. We are work for the people. We don't forget that we are not emergency management services. So please, I'm requesting you, give us time 2 months, and then we'll come together, work all together. It's not a Republican Democrat. We are supervisor. We are all our servant for the people. That is I say no this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Chimitas.
Yes, thank you. I think we do our best work as a group when we're doing bipartisan work and working together. And I think on this issue, we have not met that standard. You know, people are saying that this decision to do this is not political. I mean, I can tell you what I see is that emergency management had been inside the sheriff's office for 10 years. And it happened to be that the week that a Democratic sheriff was elected, that we decided to extract that office from there with the goal of implementing an entire new department change within a month and a half prior to the Democratic sheriff taking office. People can say that's not political, but certainly the optics look otherwise. We could have picked any other month of the last 10 years or any other month of this upcoming year, and we had to choose sort of this particular window. It's an odd timing, and I think we would do better by waiting a few months. I'd also like to point out that over this month and a half, the explanations for why we're doing this have been very inconsistent and muddled. And a few of the supervisors are already referencing the reason why they're doing this is they're referencing the office change of moving it from one building to another. That's not the issue we're actually voting on. We're voting on the chain of command, is who is that department reporting to, which is a totally separate issue or where that office is located. And so I think there's a lot of confusion about this. In part, it's because it's being rushed. There's also the issue around the budget, is that there was initial memo that described the budget. There was a second memo that described a different budget. And then when Ron Caponera went over in our last meeting, he described yet again a third budget. So there's never been an exact budget of what this department is. And the resolution that we're voting on tonight or today doesn't even reference what the budget is or what the budget would be. And the same thing around timing. Was this first brought up in late November? Was it brought up earlier in the year? Was it brought up 4 years ago? And there's all these different explanations for how this thing even came to be about. And then again, we talked about it last week. We also talked about maybe we need to add records management or we need to add staffing. And so there's all these different explanations for why we're doing this. And they keep changing every week. And so I think that bears to say that we would benefit from taking more time to talk about why we're doing this, what we're hoping to accomplish, create a clear set of goals, and an implementation timeline of what that would look like. So to me, this issue is not ready to be voted on because I think most people don't even understand what it is that we're actually voting on. And so for that reason, I vote no.
Thank you. Mussman.
I'm going to vote no. I'm sorry that this is a very negative way to start the new year. I was hoping that there could be an opportunity to work on this before it became a vote today. I was hoping this chairman would put this off, as many have asked that it be done. A lot of the new supervisors I've never even met, and I can't imagine that this issue has been front and center I mean, maybe they know more than I do about this, but I haven't really heard enough to vote a positive way. And I think Kathy Eldridge, I second her comments, and I'm sorry to say that this seems like sour grapes and is very political, and I'm going to repeat that it's really too bad that this year is starting this way. I mean, we need to be together. I mean, the nation is upside down. The Republicans, the Democrats are all arguing and fighting, and I was hoping that we could get together and move the ball forward. And this is certainly puts us at a distance right off. So sorry, no, and no again.
Thank you, Supervisor. Scalera.
I'm not going to repeat a lot that was said because I certainly respect everybody's opinion, but in my opinion, we certainly need, as I put in the email yesterday, to push the pause button and give us a little more time and discussion. It's only fair to the newly elected sheriff and more fair to the newly elected supervisors. So I vote no.
Thank you. Supervisor Guzzi.
Maybe a little bit on a positive note, I think it would be good for everybody to attend some of the training for emergency management. I went to a meeting a while back, two of them actually, and it was very good, and it really opened my eyes on how that center really works. The fact sheet presented is clear. I think it's a well-planned and thought-out move of only five part-time people with no additional cost to the county, and it will not change or delay services. It's not a threat to public safety and will only make emergency management better, able to provide services now going into the future. I've been involved in this thing from the get-go and even before, which has been, 3-4 years ago. And it wasn't only discussed to move the emergency management to the new building, the fire training center. It was also discussed to take it from the sheriff's office and move it on a separate into the County Board of Supervisors. So therefore, I have to vote yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Hoatling.
Yeah, I did my piece already, but I also did want to clarify quickly before voting. There's nothing in this resolution that talks about the physical location of emergency management. So I know Supervisor Weigelt and Supervisor Simmons both said, we've been working on this for a while. Supervisor Simmons said he was privy to this a while ago, maybe because it's located in Ghent. I do hope he was referring to the physical location and that he as a non-supervisor didn't have information about this that I as a supervisor didn't have. So hopefully he was referring just to that location. But this resolution, if you read it word for word, doesn't speak at all to the location of where this office is located. That is not what we are voting on today. I want to be very clear for everyone that's voting. I vote no.
Thank you. Supervisor Morell.
I'm not going to say a lot other than the fact that some comments are made about the need for more time. And I will say that we did push the pause button. We voted on this on the 17th of November at the Public Safety Committee meeting. We didn't put it through the Finance Committee meeting or the December 8th full board meeting to give the sheriff-elect as well as supervisors more time. It was unfortunate that we couldn't get a meeting together with the supervisors and the sheriff-elect until the 28th of December. But I will say that we had 3 scheduled meetings with the sheriff-elect plus 1 impromptu meeting where he happened to be in the building and he stopped in. So, we did have several meetings with the sheriff-elect, and we did have discussions with, to try to answer everyone's questions. So that was a month and a half that we delayed this. So I just wanted to point that out, and I vote yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Knott.
Yes, I'd like to say that we've had quite a bit of discussion on this subject over the past couple months, and the discussion is all good. What we've learned is that the folks who actually provide our emergency response, being our EMS coordinator, our fire coordinator, and our emergency management coordinator, all believe that this is the best for the county. We haven't heard any issues from supervisors on this proposal other than the timing issues. Supervisor Mettler spoke graciously the other night regarding the appearance of this being suspect, and she is correct. What occurred was following a recent election, a press release was issued by someone with little knowledge of our department's needs, and it came at a time where those words were popular in the press, and misinformation gained traction, and soon what would have been just an everyday rational decision turned into a political issue. We can't let politics distract us. Sergeant Kraft will need all of our support as he transitions into his new role. Being Sheriff of Columbia County is an important task, and this position comes with a great deal of responsibility, and we want the new sheriff to succeed. This resolution is not about that. This resolution is about creating an independent emergency management that has already been decided by those who understand best our county's needs. I vote yes to move forward on this proposal and allow all of us to provide bipartisan support to both Sheriff Kraft and our entire emergency management team. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Skoda.
I am voting to support this resolution. I think it's about time that we are segregating emergency management from the sheriff's office.
Thank you. Okay, so the vote is 2191A and 1344 nay. The resolution passes.
Thank you. I'd like to ask, do any supervisors have anything to bring before the board? Okay. I have one more announcement to make. The Republican Party appoints Deputy Majority Leader Kippy Weigelt, and the Democratic Party appoints Deputy Minority Leader Michael Chimides. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you all.